If you say it, I'm going to hurt you.
Besecker with Fun Stamper's Journey, and I have two very important guests.
Hi guys.
Richard and Dustin.
Super
they are
excited.
in Fresno visiting us.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And we are going to see a demonstration by Richard. He is going to be doing the gel press for us, so enjoy.
All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm basically going to go over a variety of different backgrounds with the gel press, as well as I'm going to bring in several different projects for share. Now, this is one of the projects that I recently did on my live feeds on Sunday, so hopefully you have the opportunity to catch that. Again, it's one of our amazing sets that I've had for quite a little while. It is called the Greeting Bouquet. Looks exactly like this guy here. And I just kind of wanted to share how I taught the various different techniques on how to create more of that texture element on your blooms. So very basically achieved through one of our more silhouette-like stamps like this guy. So super fun opportunity to be able to bring those two to life. So I'm going to go straight into a gel press demo here. I've got our exclusive Fun Stamper's Journey gel press. It's an 8.5 by 11. We are the only one. Sorry. We are the only ones that have an 8.5 by 11 size gel press. So again, it's only available through one of our coaches across the U.S. One of the things I love about the gel press is it allows you the opportunity to have a little bit more media control. So what does that mean? If you wanted to watercolor directly onto your gel press, you can absolutely do that because the gel press allows you to control your water levels a little bit more. In other words, you're not going to get as much oversaturation as you would if you were actually applying water directly to your cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab, I'm going to show you a basic watercoloring technique using the gel press. I'm just going to grab some Limeade Splash liquid color as well as some Lavender Fusion liquid color, and I'm going to place these directly onto my gel press. Now the Jelly Pad is a great media control platform like I shared, but it also allows you to do a variety of different techniques if you're more of a stamper. So we're going to go ahead and place those dots of liquid color. Liquid color is a dye-based media for us on the FSJ side. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to spritz my liquid color with water. And if you wanted to, you can play around with it a little bit to just make it a little bit more squishy and smushy. I'm going to grab one of my stencils. I'm going to place it directly on top of my gel press. Now I do like to kind of press those down a little bit to allow your colors to be able to move within the different pockets that are available for you. I'm going to grab two different prints here. I'm going to first grab my oversaturated watercolor look print. So I'm going to have a little bit of oversaturation, but I'm still going to get that beautiful impression that allows me to watercolor on non-watercolor paper. And I think that's the key piece here, right? Is that I'm using regular whipped cream cardstock to be able to do this watercolor look without using watercolor paper. As you guys know, watercolor paper is a little bit more expensive, but it also has a different color tone. So let's say you want to keep whipped cream cardstock. You really want a white base, but you want that watercolor look and feel without messing up your paper or oversaturating. Well, the gel press allows you to do just that. You have the opportunity to control your water a little bit more and still be able to create a beautiful watercolor background. I'm going to come back and I'm going to get a second impression. Now this one's not going to be as oversaturated because I picked up most of my water with the first run. But it should give me a light impression, still focusing on my stencil. So you still see that stencil background and you get some of these really cool watercolor marks. Of course, if you wanted to leave it this way, you now have full creative license to come back and add your embellishments, add your stamping, add your whatever you'd like to add to this and bring your paper to life. I'm going to leave it just like this, and I'm going to grab some Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon. Blue Lagoon.
Blue Lagoon.
Yes, please. I'm going to grab some, gracias. I'm going to grab some Blue Lagoon acrylic paint. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You didn't sound too convinced. And I'm going to bring in my brayer just to kind of spread out some of that acrylic paint. Now notice I didn't clean my gel plate. I left all that yummy deliciousness at the bottom of that. Here you go, sir. And I'm going to lift this guy up. And I'm going to come back and grab a second impression. Now this is acrylic paint now that we're using. It's going to give you a little bit more of a texture. So you've got that beautiful impression. And again, you've got that watercolor look in the background, and now you're going to come back and add a little bit more of that acrylic medium. So hopefully you can see that a little bit more. You've got side profile going on. You see that? So fun. I'm going to grab, can I grab a wipe, please? Gracias. I'm just going to wipe my surface down here. Now, most of our GelPress friends would tell us not to clean our GelPress, right? Because the more layers of paint you have, the more layers of medium you have, the more texture you're actually going to get. In our case, it's a little differently because we're mostly card makers or scrapbookers. So I always recommend that you clean your surface because chances are you want to recreate your project again and again and you want it to pretty much look the same. So because of that, I always say just clean off your surface. At home, I just use a wet rag and I just keep wiping it off and putting it in a bucket of water. I also have a cookie sheet where I would basically lay out my stencil and just pop it into that cookie sheet and just keep reusing it if I want to keep playing. I'm going to place my lighter version of my stencil or my stamped image, and I'm going to kind of cattywampy this a little bit. And I'm going to bring back my dirty stencil with the acrylic paint. One of the best ways to clean my stencil if I'm not putting it into my cookie sheet with water is I clean it directly on my GelPress because I could wipe it off on there, it'll grip onto it from the other side, and then I can have leftover pieces or anything else I can just remove with my wipe. But I also love to wipe it directly off onto a piece of cardstock because it's going to give me the reverse impression right onto my piece of cardstock. So I'm kind of doing two things at the same time here. I'm bringing the color into my cardstock while I'm also cleaning my stencil. So I've got this really cool look. So you've got that reverse version of your stencil. You've got the darker one, you've got the lighter one, so it gives you a couple of different options. So let me just finish wiping this guy off. All right, so moving right along, I'm going to move on here to a different type of gel pressing. I'm actually going to bring in some of our True Color Fusion inks, which is a great way to be able to bring in the gel press. Now you can also watercolor with our silks directly onto here. You can decide to stamp directly with our acrylic paints. So let me just kind of show you a quick merge. I kind of demoed this already, but I think it's always great to see it once again. I'm going to bring in my Pretty Pansy and my Lavender Fusion. One of the things that's so fantastic, thank you, so fantastic about the gel press is it allows you to create a beautiful ombre look without creating hard streaks from your brayer. So I'm basically going to bring my lighter tone and my darker tone. Sorry for the shakiness. Potato has had too much coffee. And it's also so he doesn't fall asleep. So I'm going to use my brayer to blend my colors together. And what's great about this is that you really create a light spectrum of color. So I'm going to grab a piece of whipped cream cardstock. Now, if you want it to stay pretty close to your space, I also created a easy way for you to create templates that fit underneath your gel press so that you're always working within that space that you're wanting to cover. So for example, if you're doing a 2x2, a 3x3, a 3.5 by 2.5, whatever those sizes are that you typically use, I would create a template out of with a Sharpie on another piece of acetate and then place it underneath your gel press so that you're always working within that space. So it's a great way for you to control your space a little bit more. But check out the beautiful ombre look that you're going to get. You're really going to get a smooth transition. It doesn't even look as good as it looks here. Fix it. Okay. Yeah, we can pass them around. Yes. Gracias.
De nada.
That's yours. Almond Joy.
All right, I'm gonna get Richard another chocolate.
Really?
You about finished all the Snickers. Do you want? Which one do you want?
Do I have a Reese's Pieces?
Get the 100 grand.
No, I'm on a
Never had
diet.
100 grand? Oh, that feels good. Fine, I haven't had one in a few years.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Sorry, TV Land.
Do you need a refill?
All right. Do we clean that?
No, I will. Did you?
No. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you guys is a little wonky wonk, but I think you'll love it. Yeah. So we've got our gel press. I'm going to bring in some beach ball. Nice juicy pad on here. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring in some Denim Days right on top. Using a clear block, I'm going to come back and add texture to this. So I'm basically just going to do this. Just kind of created a merge within my colors. And let's see what that looks like. Super simple, amazing ways to create backgrounds. So I've got all those cool designs. I'm not sure if that was a good comment or a bad one.
That's what I found with using a product like that is there's no mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's none.
So many different fun possibilities.
How's that candy bar?
What candy bar? I finished it.
Oh, you okay?
Okay, they were
All right. The next one that I'm going to kind of show you guys here is I just added some Denim Days to the background on my gel press. I'm going to do what I've always told you guys not to do. And that is put ink on your grid. I know. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to stamp.
What's the reason for not putting ink on the grid?
Because it's hard to get the ink out of the grid.
Okay, it's hard to get it
But
out.
would stamp cleaner work?
Yeah, you can use your stamp
Get a
cleaner.
special one for ink only.
Well, I thought the diffusion cleaner would harm the grid.
No, it doesn't.
It won't?
No, I actually saw that after the fact and I'm like, who said that? And Rose is like, I thought about it. I'm like, okay, not true. All right. So check it out. It's pretty cool. Look at that. Isn't that fun? So you have the opportunity to use your grid. Yes. Just so many different fun options here.
Possibilities are endless.
It's absolutely amazing what you can do with the gel press, especially because it also allows you to extend mediums. So we're kind of going very basic backgrounds, simple things you could do with just a few ink pads in your gel press. But it's pretty phenomenal the things that you can actually do if you start layering upon layers upon layers. So if you wanted to do a layer of acrylic, bring back a layer of liquid color, bring back a layer of re-inker, of True Color Fusion re-inker, you can kind of just play and make putty and then lift up your impression. And you're always going to try new things that I think you could potentially just fall in love with. Yeah, you can use modeling paste on it, gesso on it. I will tell you a funny story. Is this video going to live to the whole world? Super funny story, confession time. So I was actually creating a project for a video tutorial that I was going to do a live feed on. Now for this project, I'm going to be using this, I can't remember the name of the stamp set.
The beautiful
Ornamental Dream. Ornamental Dream. I love it. So anyway, I was creating a live feed I was going to do a 4th of July background. Did any of you see that on my live tutorial? It was going to be a 4th of July project, and I did it right before convention, where I introduced, or maybe right after convention, I introduced the gel press for the very first time. Super excited about it, whatever. Anyway, so I went live and I ran out of my sample of whipped cream ink, whipped cream acrylic paint. So I'm like, okay, great. I did my sample with what little I had left because they actually had not come in yet. And I did my sample. And then I'm like, there's no more. So yay for you, RG. So then I decided, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing, but just with gesso. I'm going to do the same thing with gesso. It's white. It's going to give me the white paint look. I'm just going to do it. So I decided to go live, and I went live. And I used my stencil to create the stripes because I did that red and white stripes. So I used the stripe on my gel press to create the white stripes on my red background. Well, here I am chit-chatting, probably like I'm doing right now. Well, the darn thing dried on me while I was talking. So the gesso dried on my gel press. And I'm talking away and talking about how awesome it is. And I'm already live, right? There's nothing I can do. I place my cardstock down. And as I'm lifting it up, I'm realizing nothing is coming up. So I'm like, okay. So I totally did one of these numbers. I pressed it. And I'm like, and off camera. Grab that sample that I did earlier. Bring it back. And this is what you get.
Yay, I love that.
Yeah, it was like, holy Hannah. I will say somebody did call me out on him. Somebody said, excuse me, but I thought your kid was already kitted because I had to cut to size my piece of cardstock with the impression. So here I am cutting it because it was already done. It was just, okay, note to self, don't talk if you're trying something new for the first time live. But it was really fun to be able to see that come to life. So it depends on where you live. If there's no moisture or no humidity, it'll dry too fast. Like in Arizona, I have to be really quick sometimes because my layers will dry in between. All right, so I did a reverse ghosting technique here. Did I even tell you how I did that? Oh, but you guys got it. So I basically layered lavender fusion in the background, and then I used my clear pigment ink to ink my stamp. So then I was removing color from the gel press, which is exactly what this did. Now you now have the amazing opportunity to go back and, you know, just kind of add your darker tones to this background, because that's the other pieces, right? Now what do I do with this background? So hopefully you can catch some of this. I would just stamp the darker version directly to this. And it just gives you a beautiful background. I do love this stamp set. You know, it was originally a bloom box way back in the day.
Oh, that means it's probably gonna be gone this next year.
Not necessarily. Now that they're live, sometimes I decide to keep them. This one's absolutely beautiful. So again, you can just create more of that background to finalize your piece. Now, another thing that's great about the bloom box, I'm sorry, about the gel press. You squirreled me.
Socks, GelPress.
Potato.
That's his nickname, Boombox. Right, Boombox?
No bueno.
It ends up Cassie with box.
It's gonna be a long ride.
Yeah.
Well, good thing we fly out of Fresno
Oh, yeah.
back to Phoenix.
Oh, you're gonna go home?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's better.
What are you doing here, bub?
I'm just looking at what you're doing, Boombox.
What does it look like?
Yeah.
Potato cakes.
Now you need to get your prayer.
On that chart, you said I was watching you know, stamped off, and you mentioned something about the clear pigment ink.
Yes.
What did you?
I used the clear pigment ink to ink my stamp before I removed the color out.
It picks up the color.
It picks up the color,
So you could actually do that and then stamp something else.
which is what I'm going to do right now.
Waste it.
Which is what I'm going to do right now, because what's great about this is you have the opportunity to, for example, let me try something here for you. What we're going to do is we're going to ink this guy up. Now I've got my lighter color first, which is Lavender Fusion. I'm then going to grab my Pretty Pansy, and I'm going to bring in streaks of Pretty Pansy. I'm just going to tap some color in here. All right. Now I'm going to grab my stamp, and again, I'm going to grab that clear pigment ink. What's so great is you can create your own spectrum pad. I just dated myself a little bit, but you know what I mean.
You mean the creative palette?
Create a palette, thank you. So I'm going to pick up the color, and what it's going to do is it's going to give me the option of the multi-layers because I have added my palette to the gel press. So I should have an easy, nice blend of both my darks and my lights. So you see how I've got lighter version, I've got a darker streak, I've got a lighter version. So depending on what colors you actually play with, you actually have the opportunity to marry those in. Now you also have the opportunity if you wanted to be very specific. So again, if I got one of my frames and I frame this at 2.5 by 2.5, place it underneath, I can actually create my color design on my gel press and then come back and grab it. So let's say I wanted the outside all to be dark, but the inside all to be light. Fine, I'll show you.
I've seen it. It's awesome.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Lavender Fusion. Now I don't have my template, but I'm going to wing it. I'm going to create a template right this second. All right. So basically it's going to tell me where I want my stamp to be. So I've got my lavender fusion. Now you probably can't see that, but I can see the stamped image underneath, right? Now I'm going to grab my, and I'm just going to come here on the edges. Okay, so fun. Now if you wanted to really create a smooth transition, I would totally use a dauber. So I would just grab one of my daubers just to smooth that out, right? Just ink it softly. And you're like, you know what? I want just a little bit more ink there. And it almost creates that little bit of a merge for you. All right, I'm going to ink this one more time. The reason why I use a clear pigment is because it really allows you to pick up the color. So you're going to get more of a color pickup. I'm going to try to marry those two together. And I should get what I'm looking for. So again, I've got the outside color and the lighter color down the center.
Gorgeous.
You see that? So again, this is a more of a fine stamp. So it's going to be a little bit harder to see because of its fine detail. If you did a solid stamp, you're going to get more of that bigger tone in the color change. So really cool opportunity for you to, yeah, and you can do that too.
Oh, wow. That's how you discover some of the most fun things.
Yeah.
So do you,
Oh, yeah.
it's probably a question on my part, but I presume that clear embossing pad now is strictly used for your gel press since it's got pretty colors on it?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah. You can still use your pad for anything else.
So it's not going to come out.
It's not contaminated?
It's not going to be contaminated unless you're going to emboss clear. If you're going to be embossed clear on white, that's the only way you're going to see any hint of color.
But you get a color embossing.
But you're not going to get a true color embossing because it'll fade away pretty badly. Because again, you've got clear pigment ink. Clear pigment in it is just really designed to grab something. So basically it's grabbing color or it's going to create a watermark, right? But we also have our regular True Color Fusion ink pads to create a watermark. If you're going to emboss with gold, that's it. It's gone. Whatever tint is there. Silver, it's gone. White is gone. The only one you might have to worry about a little bit is clear, and that's only if you're stamping on white. Because if you're stamping on colored cardstock and clear, it'll be gone. It doesn't matter what color it is.
So you find you have better results, because I've stamped off on the gel press with, without using the clear pigment ink. You have better results with more detailed dye using the clear pigment ink?
So
Take off the color?
to pick up the color, let me repeat that question one more time.
Okay, so when we were doing it at convention, they just, we just brayered and then just stamped, and then, we just lifted it off. We didn't stamp in clear pigment ink. And then
Correct. Those are two different looks. So what I mean, okay, so let me do one. Because what's going to happen if you don't add clear pigment into your stamp, you're going to get a shift. So you're going to get a little bit of a move. You're not going to get a clear, crisp impression like you would if you're adding clear pigment ink, because the clear pigment ink is almost going to prevent it from moving. It's like you're stamping it and you're lifting it. If you don't have clear pigment ink, it's going to kind of glide off your press.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll glide off your press a little bit, so you're not going to get a beautiful, crisp impression because it'll move. So you're going to get more of a blurred impression, which is fine if that's what you're looking for, but this is just slightly different.
it's more of a wonky one.
Yeah, it's more of a wonky wonk.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
No.
Is there a remedy to the gold ink pad and refill to keep it moist enough to use because it dries on the surface?
The only thing I would suggest, and it kind of just depends because you live here in California, so you've got a little bit more of a dry heat, which is the same thing that I deal with. I actually end up putting mine in a Ziploc. So all of my metallic inks like that, I put them, so I ink them up and then I shut them closed. I put a rubber band on it and then I put it in a Ziploc. So I don't have the surface of my ink pad hardening.
We
Yeah.
could use Brian's vacuum sealer.
Vacuum
sealer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find uses for my
That was
husband.
a very quick connection to drying out.
Oh, I actually didn't hear that, or else I would have jumped in myself.
Well, it came in the little slide lock zip bag, so I was wondering maybe, okay, that's great.
All right, so real,
Thank you for that tip on the clear pigment ink, Richard, that's really.
yeah, I love those. Real quick, I've got a few others that I've created here, similar to that, but I did more of an ocean wave versus a regular swirl. That one turned out really cool. You've got so many different options. You know, one of the things we were discussing in my last live feed was how to be able to incorporate different types of mediums right onto, so I can do a full spectrum like I did with the ombre look. And then I came back and I splashed some actual acrylic paint on top of that so that together I kind of brought them to life. So one of the things that you know is pretty common is the opportunity to, now I'm just going to grab this color just for funsies. But if you wanted to bring in some of this and then you got it, what? You smell?
No, that ink pad.
Can you give me?
The ink pad.
No, it's a stinky one.
Remember Grumpy Old Man when he
Yes.
puts a fish?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put open ink pads in his car.
Did you see on Coach Connection, they were saying, one lady was saying, oh, my ink pads smell. Is there something wrong with those?
Yeah,
It's his personally it's his personal.
it's my personal scent,
Yes.
as
It's an
Potato would
RG
say.
collection.
Oh, wow.
But not that particular ink pen, the one that.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
So again, just a fun way to play. You can also come back and just add your dots. And again, you're merging this time your True Color Fusion ink with acrylic. So if some people are like, can I do that? Can I not do that? Absolutely you can. You can just play with your various different colors and various different mediums. If you wanted to, you can come back and add some silk to this as well. So many different fun little options.
Is that sparkle silk?
This is sparkle silk.
Without it.
That makes me happy seeing it shine.
Yeah, does it look, oh, it looks sparkly on there.
Dry too fast to.
No, if you wanted to make sure of that, you can always come back and add a little splash of water.
Oh, it's.
I have no idea what this is going to look like.
It's okay. That's okay. From here, it looks like a melted Reese's cup.
Oh. So I'll tell you, I was doing a live demo, and I had no brayer. And I was like, great, what am I going to do here? Oh, look, that looks cool. So you've got, look at the cool texture. I don't know if you can see that, but just the cool texture in the bottom of your print, right? Like, I'm telling you, you have to see it up close and personal.
I thought when you were making that you wanted me to get you another candy bar.
That too. I do the peach readers.
So I was doing a live demo, but without a brayer, so I'm like literally winging it. And so I'm, working on all these designs, and they're actually working really good, except for one that I did, and I'm like, well, I don't know what that looks like. As a matter of fact, it looked like a rib cage. So I got it, and then I put it against Potato's chest, and I'm like, see, it's a rib cage. You can get ready for Halloween. And then Potato's like, don't pass that one around. Don't pass it around. I'm like,
It was an RG fail.
it was an RG. It really was. So fun. But again, really cool opportunity to bring a variety of different textures to life. You can also mix your palettes and work directly onto your gel press as a surface. So for example, let's say you've got buttercream and you're like, you know what? I wish I added a little bit of something to that buttercream. So I'm going to see what I got here. Let me see if I can add a little bit of this metallic. I'm just adding some of my silver pan pastels. I'm just going to merge those two together.
Now this looks fun.
So now you've got more of that metallic silver brush paint. Now you can do with it whatever you'd like. You can also, you know what, let's make sure that it doesn't dry out on me. You can say, you know, I'm going to spritz a little bit of water to this because you can come back and use your brayer to extend the life of your paint. But you're going to get more of that metallic brush. So don't be afraid to really just get in there and roll. Just roll with it. I'm going to bring in my stencil right on top of that. And I'll grab my impression. So again, once it's completely dry, you'll have a little bit more of that metallic finish from the actual pan pastels. So you've got the opportunity to truly bring those out. So check it out.
Oh, wow.
Now,
So you get a texture.
yeah, so pretty.
Notice I can't wait for the second.
Now you could pick that up, of course, if you wanted to. I need another wipey.
Wow.
You guys need more ammo.
Oh, sorry.
I've got a big old.
Do you need a garbage
great.
receptacle?
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh, this one needs to be picked up.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh,
Really? Okay. Enough is enough. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get you good.
Are your seats next to each other on the flight?
I don't know, but
it's the only
if
way.
you would have ever seen us, we were in Milwaukee while he's doing that, and so we were like, on our first expo run, and this is I'm not a big fan of Journey Sparkle. I think that stuff is horrible, and that's just my opinion. Because I could never get out of my clothes, even if I washed them. And so we were there, and little did I know that when I was walking, he was putting it on me. So I'm like walking, and I turned, it's like, I was like, why do I see all this glitter? Like, what is going on? It's almost like those videos on Facebook where they keep putting the shampoo, and he's like, why is there hair? I'm like, what is going on? Why do I have this stuff? And so I had this Journey Sparkle all over me, and then I caught him. I'm like, all right. All right, it's on now.
It's gonna dry on my brayer.
And so I ended up dumping a whole Tupperware thing on his back. He didn't know it, and so he was walking around, looked like Peter Pan. Like, until this lady walks up and goes, "I don't know what's all over your back, but you have this stuff like is." And I mean, literally, I thought when I did it, I'm like, I'm getting fired on this one.
No, it's just potential for payback.
But
Oh, and I got him good.
give me another wipe.
Puppy, you have the wipes.
I know.
Oh no, I do. I do.
Yeah, you took them away after you were starting to get me all.
You know which one's hard to come off is orange.
Yeah. Not the smelly one. Ugh. Smells like your suitcase.
Oh yeah. Actually, it does because I carry them in my suitcase, so it's actually true.
Well, I know because when we're loading, I'm like, what is that? Like tangerine fusion?
All right, guys, I'm gonna swap real quick, and I'm gonna show you our heart impressions plate, just for funsies. A couple of different things that you can do with these guys. Pardon my reach. I'm gonna just bring in a couple more acrylic paints. A couple more acrylic. Where are my acrylics? Blue Lagoon. I'm gonna bring in some Blue Lagoon here. Of course, you can create a simple impression just using our regular acrylic paints. Now, obviously, hearts are not just for Valentine's. Now, hopefully, you guys got to see my one video where I used this for fall. I think it came out so cool. My only recommendation for you guys is if you want a perfect impression, because I know most of you are stampers and you guys are really anal retentive about this stuff. So if you want a perfect heart impression, then press very lightly with your gel press. With your brayer. So just kind of, and even then you might get some blemishes outside of your heart impressions. So I would just press very lightly. And then when you bring your cardstock, press very lightly. If you're really psycho killer and you want it, you can go back with a Q-tip and clean off the additional paint. Like that's only if you're very strange.
You heard it first here. Fresno.
And just kind of press lightly. Make sure that you're getting all your hearts. These are really cool. I actually designed 4 of them, but I only launched one to see what you guys thought. But look how cool. Isn't that fun? Yes. This was Blue Lagoon and Riverstone.
Now, when you did the gold foil, I'm trying to remember, you did that on acrylic also.
Yeah, but that time I really went psycho killer because I used Journey Glaze.
Right.
I added Journey Glaze to my gel press. Yeah, to make it stick. So if you're into psycho killer crazy.
I'll get it.
Dustin, why are you off screen, Dustin?
Because you're supposed to be in the screen.
I know him very well.
Oh, it's payment.
No.
It's your turn.
Once he gets the brayer going and he's
Oh, wait, it's a candy bar break. Oops, no.
Yeah. You're like, I didn't say that. All right, I'm going to try something different here. I'm going to grab some Blue Lagoon. I know, it's one of my favorites. Now, I didn't bring with me a lot of the new colors, but I just love the candy apple, and all of those are going to be perfect for the holidays.
So you persimmon color.
So you prefer making it directly that way as opposed to brayering on the gel press?
So I am brayering on the gel press. So what do you mean?
I meant on the flat.
They're not necessarily designed. They don't have to work together.
Okay.
But they can, but they don't have to.
Yeah, because I've seen it where just to get I think it's probably faster, I think. I saw it where it just squeezed out on the gel press.
Uh-huh.
And then brayer it across and then just brayer it on there. I have a picture of it.
Yeah, you can certainly use it that way.
Are those baby wipes over there?
What?
We were talking about putting on the flat one and turning the heart one on top of it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I brought in my stencil. So I first did a layer of Blue Lagoon, brought in my stencil. Now I'm going to do a layer of Riverstone just to create that impression. Now you can also stamp on top of the hearts, like go Psycho Killer and stamp.
Kiss it.
Kiss it.
Oh, he literally kisses it.
What?
When you go,
That's not kissing.
all right, if I'm gonna get inky, I'm gonna do this, not get the remnants of it.
All right, so now I'm going to grab this impression. So fun, right? So you've got your hearts, and now they have the impressions on there. So just kind of cool. Different options for you. Okay, I'm going to do one more. I keep saying that all the time, and then I never end up leaving.
That's fine. They have later flights.
They have plenty of rooms in this building.
You can sleep here till midnight.
They may have to put you on.
I will say in the last 3 years we've been together, we've only missed a flight twice or 3 times.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's been.
I want to say two to maybe 3 times the most. So because we were running late or something happened and we actually missed the flight. One time it was in LAX on our way to China.
Oh, that was fun.
That was bad.
Was that the red-eye flight?
Yeah, it was the red-eye flight,
12:50.
and we had to stay at the airport.
That's even worse.
That's even worse because I had potato. Sorry, do you not want that in your video? Okay, so I had potato. I'm like, okay, you fall asleep. I'll take watch. I'll fall asleep, and then we'll kind of just split it, right? He's like, okay, no problem. So I'm like, so he's falling asleep, and I, 2 hours later, I kind of wake him up, and I said, okay, potato, I have to go to the restroom. So he's like, okay, I got it. I come back, he's asleep. So worst case, there's a lady around him because there's a lot of homeless people that stay in LAX. So and I thought he was actually talking to someone because she was literally like right here, and all of our bags are there.
I like puts up on the thing. I'm like,
Yeah, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, he is not awake. And so then as I get closer, and I'm like, I'm just gonna watch.
that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Now that would have made an interesting live video.
Well,
Well, I don't think live were popular back then. They had just started. Look how cool.
so I guess when he walked up, she acted like she was going to be sitting down next to us. And she ended up getting out all of her, like, she had some dishwash, not like shampoo or anything. And she took water and was cleaning everything and sat in, like a
Wet puddle.
puddle of dish soap. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, now I'm up. I mean, yeah, she did. She was, like, soaked.
No,
Like,
I really believe it's because she didn't want the germs from the seat. Like in her head, she was cleaning the
Yeah.
seat to not sit there. But like she sat on it wet. Like it was soaked.
soapy, and it was, yeah.
And I was like, potato. Said if you wanted some alone time, you could have just said something.
I woke up at the airport one time, same thing, and had this elderly couple there, like in their late 80s, right here. I went like that. I said, "Oh, we thought you were dead."
Well, that's what the airport people were like. Yeah, just be careful because there are a lot. They can't just go and tell people to leave. But that's where they were going. It was like, and after I started really thinking about it, I was like, more people in here are homeless than people waiting for their flight. Because then in the morning, like 6 o'clock, our flight was at 7, so we couldn't go anywhere because there was just too short a window from like 1 o'clock to 7. So we just had to rough it out. And literally, it's like literally sit in the airport and just rough it till our.
Was this inside the gate?
This was inside the. This was not in the gate because we could. But this was in the terminal.
In the terminal.
So before we could actually go into the gate and check in,
Gotcha.
we couldn't check in yet. So I wish we could have went up to where the Admiral's
Yeah.
loungers were.
Well,
Well, I tried to stay in the, we got stuck at the airport, and, I tried to stay in the lounge, and I'm like, sorry, we closed it too. I'm like, are you kidding me? So same thing happened to us, first time ever, we got stuck staying at the airport. So my husband, I'm sitting there trying to, can figure out, okay, how are we gonna, try to get some sleep, and we were in the gate area. And before I knew it, my husband had MacGyvered up the bed and he was out. I'm like, oh, great, I'm hosed. I'm just sit here and watch everybody. And so it was sad.
So here's a couple different options.
That's very cute.
Don't ever get stuck in Sydney Airport overnight. They
Sydney?
close Sydney. They close at 11, literally close it, shuts the gates and everything. And put you in one room with maybe 20 seats, and there's like 70 to 100 people waiting for their flight.
Oh my
Everybody's
gosh.
all on the floor, rolling floor. Then they reopen it at about 3 or 4 in the morning, and then you can go to your gate and you sleep until they open it up till 2 hours before your flight.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's hopefully that never happens.
We had 11 hours in Sydney overnight.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, it just comes out so fun.
If you're ever gonna get stuck in an airport, I think the best one, I mean, is Hong Kong International Airport. It is pretty. I mean, it's 24 hours. So yeah, you're good.
It's pretty amazing.
It's just, yeah, it's still pretty good. Clean. I mean, completely clean.
Yeah. So we're just stuck on benches.
Like these kind of chairs, like but they're like the ones that were like
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
And we just tried to find a place that was away. There was.
I'm going to show a few show and tells. All right, guys, I just want to show you guys a couple of other patterns that I've done. And then I also want you guys to kind of experience and play with. So check this one out. This particular one, now similar to the way we did the hearts with the stencil, but this time it was reverse color. So I did ink pad on the bottom and acrylic on the top. So hopefully you can see the difference on that. And of course, it always depends on which stencil you play with, right? I only happen to have one with me, but depending on the stencils that you have, actually this one needed to be clean. Dang it. Probably dried
Okay,
already.
just set it there. I'll get it.
It's dry. Just kidding.
I
Dry.
just set it there.
So you've got these super cool. Now, another thing that I've recently tried is I'm typically used to doing my pan pastels over whipped cream cardstock, right? I bring in whipped cream cardstock. Check what I did here with oatmeal cookie. So I had oatmeal cookie cardstock and I did modeling paste with my stencil, but this time I brought 3 different layers of pan pastels to be able to create that merge. And just the oatmeal cookie gives it a completely different look. Check out a finished project here.
Wow.
Super fun with the pan pastels in the background. I also did this fun project featuring just a strip from my GelPress. So you can just cut it up and slice it up to create fun little backgrounds. So fun. And I should have one more. And here's another one with the pan pastels and the modeling paste.
And you put the pan pastels on top of the modeling paste after.
Correct. So I basically grab my background. How many of you guys have played with modeling paste and the pan pastels? So fun. It's an amazing opportunity. So basically I have one here. So I've got a piece of oatmeal cookie cardstock and I've got my modeling paste right onto this. So it's basically my stencil that it's got, you know, a brush of modeling paste. And I just come back and I grab my pan pastels and I just go to town. So whatever colors you want to apply, it just makes it so easy for you to do that. Just bring in that color. Totally changes the look of your cardstock.
Looks almost like velvet.
Yeah, it looks very velvety, mainly because of the oatmeal cookie cardstock. So soften that center up with a little bit of our bubble gum. And then I'm going to come back and bring in some of that sweet berry. Yeah, so what is it?
Do you wipe it off or you just?
Nope, I just leave it. Now, if you wanted to bring back some of the white, sand it off slightly, and it removes that first layer right on top of your modeling paste. So your modeling paste color comes right back. But it's set. Ready to go. So pass these two. They're both different color palettes. And this one, and this one, and this one, and this one.
I think I've showed those, haven't I?
They're a little different. Now, is there anything you want to see that I haven't shown that you might want to try?
Marcie,
Yes.
all your samples, would you please sign them and then we can frame them as a list?
Absolutely. Typically, I just throw them all away.
No.
No.
Potato says, I'm not taking that with us.
We give them away. We don't throw them away.
Now, this is another cool one, guys, real quick.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
This one's done with liquid color. Now, do you guys know how to use this dye?
Yes.
Okay, because that's kind of a question that some of my coaches were like, I don't know how to use it. But you know how to create the frame out of the piece, right?
We figured it, yeah.
Awesome.
There's a slot.
There's the slot, and then you run in two separate ways. Okay. What's cool about that frame is that I'm going to be launching different sentiments for it to fit in it. So I've got some summer ones coming. I've got eventually I'll have some of the holidays coming also.
Oh, great.
So that'll be fun.
Can you use your dyes upside down on the GelPress? I mean, obviously not the same dyes. Yeah, you can use them center.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
All right, so quickly, real quick little show and tell. If you haven't seen these guys, I do have them with me.
Oh, they're so cute.
If just the cutie patootie little elements for my planners. The super adorable little tags. I just created a couple of different pages here. And of course the cutie patootie little pockets. The cute little sushi set. And I love the different pockets. Sliced fetty in there. Super simple to do add-ons. Also, we've got our Take Note Planner. If you have not seen this guy, it has two different ones to be able to utilize. You can add those to your set, and it of course matches my printed stock in the catalog. And lastly, I've got this beautiful little, love the little ad of the photographs in the little 2x2 sizes. And something that I've fallen in love with lately has been adding a little piece of washi with a staple to close my pocket. So just a little washi, little tiny staple, and I can add some fun little funsies in there.
That'd be a cute gift for, you talk about young people. You can
Yeah.
Those little Polaroid cameras now that have the 2x2 films. Boom, boom, boom.
So cute.
I think they have them, the cameras, they go on sale a lot at Michael's and stuff.
Linda, your food saver can also make pockets for your fun things.
If you run out of film, I ordered some at 11 a.m. and it was on my porch from Amazon by 5.
Linda,
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was not like, what?
Wait till they start flying the drones.
Seriously, I thought that's what it was. They were so fast.
All right. Do you guys have any questions for me before we shut our computer off here? I just want to make sure that you have the. Oh, you know what? I did also have some pieces of the jewelry. I don't know if everybody has seen it. I will say, guys, I'm so sorry. The problem is when I meet new people, I end up giving some of the stuff away as I go along. The cutest little boy was on my thing yesterday. The one Andrew, the one I shared with you, and so I ended up handing him over one of the Be the Journey necklaces. So that, huh?
That's very sweet.
No, I gave it to him. Yeah. So she was there, and I'm like, oh, here, you can have one of these. So typically, my fingers are not blue when I'm doing jewelry. I know. I'm now a half Smurf here, but check out how cute these are. I'm going to leave them up here in case you guys are more touchy-feely kind of folks. I've got super cute. Now, this one's fun. It's the Inspired.
I don't have one.
Love this one. And I did give away I also gave away my heart, my cross locket. So pretty. And I love the brand new beaded necklace.
Yes, I do too.
So cute.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
And I love the length on that as well.
I really like that you give different lengths.
Yeah, I love that idea. And also, if you are like, if somebody who likes to wear it and you know you're gonna stick to your hearts, you can always put a little glue dot in the background so it doesn't spin. So just put a little glue dot on there so that it's not spinning. If you don't want to put another backer, so don't feel like you have to add another backer.
Oh, okay.
And it's super super cute. One of our bracelets, the cuff.
You're awesome.
Make dreams happen. So super fun.
Yes, I do.
All right, guys. If you don't have any more questions, we can shut down the. Do you know how to do that? Do you want us to say bye, guys? Thanks for joining us, guys. Sorry for the impromptu. He doesn't know how to shut it off.
Oh, here.
Exit.
Keep smiling.
You just have
You got you smiling.
Just keep smiling, guys. Bye.